Hi, it's Jessie. I'm back again for They Call Me a Scammer Part 2. Um, okay, so to make a long story short, I was disabled out in childhood, right? Spent a lot of time, most of my adolescence in institutions, right? Um, I get to adulthood, uh, I collect survivor's benefits and my own benefit because I also worked when I was a teenager. Um, in 2005, I developed a condition called myositis. Okay, it came with a rash. You can't really see the rash unless it's summertime, but you can see the scar tissue if you look really close at it, and it like wrinkles, like creases, when because it expands, it swells, and it's really gross. And I look like I have a 90-year-old lady arms on my skin, right? In summertime, it feels it's bad, okay? It burns like fire. It swells up. It itches. Weird hair grows on it. Uh, it's very disfiguring. And while that happens, I have other health issues. Like I get short of breath. These bubbles on my knuckles, it's worse on one than on the other because I use this hand more. I got little like blisters on the tips. When I was younger, we thought it was calluses, but it's not calluses. It's called Gotron lesions or papules. It's characteristic of this thing, and what happens is I lose the strength in my hands. I can't hold something to write. I, I can't hold things to cut. And actually, the reason why this one gets so bad is because I force myself to hold things to cut, and I actually injure it, and it starts bleeding and it swells more. It's bad. Um, but that's not all that happens. Um, my muscles collapse, like they completely atrophy when I'm sick, okay? So it's not just I can't breathe. It's not just my hands won't work. It's not just I have these painful blisters on my knuckles, and it comes on my hand too. You can see it a little bit, the discoloration. But my muscles collapse. Like I told you about my feet spread out like fingers because my muscles just completely collapse in my feet. Sometimes I have a butt, sometimes I don't. Um, Delilah, my kid's dad, will ask me, where did my butt go? Because it completely collapses. My muscles atrophy and they stay that way for the entire time I'm sick. And it's hard to walk. I'm stiff. I have pain. I have weakness. It's hard to get up out the chair. It's hard to climb the stairs. It's hard to go down the stairs. Everything is difficult when I have this condition in 2005. The stuff on my arm, the rash, it's photosensitivity, right? So I can't be in the sun, right? I've had this condition since 2005. Now, within the past few years, they've been trying to make it look like I don't have this condition, right? They're trying to make me look like a scammer, and the way through which they're doing this is they're trying to make it one look like I'm a drunk or like I'm a bad parent. My neighbor 2 doors down, Hilda, she has a daughter a little younger than mine, and they like to play together for a while. We're not friends at all anymore. We were just getting to know each other as neighbors. And Hilda drinks a lot, and Hilda's a party girl, but I'm not. But our kids got along well, so it was okay. Um, I don't care if other people drink. I'm not very judgy. Just as long as the kids are having fun and they're safe, and uh, you know, I don't care, so I'll be nice to people that I don't have anything in common with so my kids can have friends. But Hilda, she wanted me to drink. She's like, drink, 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 peer pressure. And she had her friends over there saying the same thing. I'm like, I don't drink. I don't drink because I get sick. You know, after drinking, just one drink will have me sick for days. I don't like feeling off balance. And when I get off balance, I stay off balance. I can't get back to like equilibrium. I can't get back to to my level place. It's hard. It takes me some time to recover. So I don't bother drinking. Not only that, I get nauseous, I throw up and things. It's not worth it. It takes me days to recover. I don't like alcohol, okay? I don't do drugs. I don't do any of that. But here we have Hilda there. And then before Hilda cut me off and completely stopped talking to me, Hilda wanted me to go to the beach with her. And I can't be in the sun. If I get in the sun, I'm more sick than if I drink alcohol. I mean, I can't breathe. My skin is swollen. It burns like fire. It stays that way for weeks. I get my muscle weakness gets horrible. I can't be in the sun. I get lethargic. It's horrible, okay? So I let Hilda borrow my wagon. I said, because I think that's the only reason why she was asking me to go is because she wanted my wagon. So I let her use my wagon, and then my son, he comes downstairs. They use my son against me. They brainwash him. They buy him, bribe him. They poison his mind. So the same day that Hilda's asking me to go to the beach a few years ago, Coda's coming downstairs and also saying, "Hey, Ma, let's go to the beach." I haven't taken this boy to the beach since he was a toddler because, he's born in 2001. My condition set in 2005, where I was pregnant when it came upon me. I can't be in the sun anymore. So I don't really believe in coincidences, okay? The neighbor and my son in the same day, that's a coordinated attack, okay? What they're trying to do is they're trying to make it look like I'm lying about my photosensitivity. And they're trying to produce witnesses. My son? You use my son for this nonsense? They're trying to produce witnesses to say that I do these things. And the reason they do this is to make me look like a scammer so they could take away my Social Security and be justified, because nobody cares when a wicked person dies, right? But I'm not wicked. I've been disabled my whole life, I've been suffering my whole life. Trump says, we're not going to cut Social Security. We're just going to go after the scammers, the people who don't belong on it. Do you know how much money they've spent trying to keep me off Social Security? I mean, really, they knew this diagnosis for me in 2005. They knew this diagnosis in 2005. I remember Dr. Sidicase gave it to me. He was my doctor for like 15 years. He gave me the diagnosis, right? And then when I come back to him for treatment, he's like, well, let's have you see a neurologist. I got all these other symptoms, right? With the legs and the muscle weakness and all these things. And back then he just thought the rash on my arm was myositis, He didn't tell me that myositis was all this other stuff. I had no idea when he was sending me to all these other doctors that they already knew what was wrong with me. Because I thought the rash on my arm, the stuff that I get in the sun, that was myositis. I had no idea that myositis was all these other things. So you send me to the doctor to fish for another diagnosis while you actually know what's wrong with me already. And this carries on for several years, They told me I had MS. They told me I had microfacial myalgia. They told me I maybe had lupus. They told me a whole bunch of things, right? It was all myositis to begin with. But now I'm running around to doctors, and doctors are starting to write in their records that I'm pushing for diagnosis. And really, I'm sick, I'm in pain, I'm weak, I can't breathe, I can't function, I can't stand long enough to cook dinner for my kids. I'm burning things. I'm a good cook. I'm burning things. I can't cook anymore. I can't even make cookies anymore. Because I was sick. And meanwhile, they're running around with the doctors giving me this whole, well, let's go see here and see if they can figure out what's wrong with you. Let's go see here and see if they can figure out what's wrong with you. They already knew what was wrong with me. They already knew what was wrong with me since 2005. They just didn't tell me, you know, the stuff on my arm. But it's more than the stuff on my arm, you know? It's more. It explained all this other stuff. But going with all these doctors and fishing to see what's wrong with you, it kind of like, it eats away at your credibility. Like, you have to prove that you're sick. They already knew what I was sick with. And they're sending me around here to prove that I'm not suffering from all these conditions. But I already have a diagnosis. You know, I've had the diagnosis since 2005. And they call me a scammer. They have my neighbors. It wasn't just Hilda with the beach and Hilda with the peer pressure on drinking thing. It wasn't just Hilda. My neighbor Dale across the street, he had his kids following me around with cameras while I was walking to the bus stop. Just walking to the bus stop. I turn around and there's dude with the camera like this. And I'm like, wow, you're a really good neighbor. While I'm sitting here suffering, you're videotaping me to make an accusation against me while I'm sitting here suffering. And they got the nerve to smile in my face and act like we're friends. We're not friends. They defrauded me of life. I had a condition. They made it look like I didn't. Who's the scammer? Who solicited all my neighbors to get involved like this? This lady around the block, Heather, she had the bus stop the same as my kids. And when I first moved in here, she was like, oh, can you get Coley off the bus for me? I'll only be an hour late. I was like, yeah, sure. I let him play in the backyard. I got a swing set and trampoline back there. I let him play back there. I don't care. Then I'm getting accused of running a home daycare center. When we have all these things going around, Trump's only going to cut the people off who are scamming. Do you know they paid all the people who did this stuff to me? They got discounts on their cars. Everybody else has to pay high interest on cars. These people got like no interest on cars. They got home repairs. They got public benefits. They got better jobs. They got sent back to school. All to make it look like someone who was disabled was faking. How much money they spent and continue to spend year after year because, like, I'm still suffering, right? And they tell me to kill myself all the time, right? They tell me in my YouTube feed, just kill yourself already, you know? Because they're not going to let me go. They're not going to stop using my neighbors and these people against me, using Delilah. They're not going to stop doing these things because if they stop, they're exposed. If they don't prove their point, if they don't drive me to kill myself, I'm evidence of the game that they play. Of defrauding people. Of not taking care of people who need help. So when they call me a scammer, you understand? I don't want you to think that I'm a victim. I want you to understand that I'm not telling you this for my personal benefit. I'm telling you this because there's an order to the world. There's an order to the world that nobody can live in. That we all have to eat each other and cut down. Right? We all have to go through these things. And this game that they're running it's not the first time that they're running this kind of scam on people. On a nation. On an entire nation, not just me personally. These are standard practices with these people. You heard on the news during COVID that people suffering with long COVID couldn't get disability benefits, that the doctors were gaslighting them and telling them there was nothing wrong with them while they were suffering. It's a standard practice where our medical professionals scam us. They defraud us of life. When we need assistance, when we can't go on our own. They defraud us of life and tell us to go kill ourselves. So no, we're not living in Nazi Germany, right? They're not going to put us in concentration camps, but they're going to harass us to the point where we give up and we kill ourselves. Now, they like to point the finger at Delilah. They like to stir up trouble in my house and play us off each other. Delilah was still incarcerated when all this stuff began. It began with them messing with my prescriptions, making it so that I couldn't get my prescriptions refilled. It began with Dr. Sedicase running drug tests on me constantly. And I've never done drugs on my life. Now, if every time I see the doctor, which was like once a month sometimes, he's drug testing me, and not one of them ever come back as positive for drugs, why are they still making that accusation against me? It's the practices of these people where they're going to keep on saying that they do what they do. We've drug tested her, drug tested her, drug tested her. That implies that I have a drug problem. You know, it's not just proving their case or hang on, wait, how do I say this? It's not just them investigating an accusation. When they're repeatedly testing me like this for years, it's them inserting that I have a drug problem when I don't. And I learned this tactic because they use this tactic with my kids where they mention drugs and alcohol to my kids, and then they write in the notes that they've counseled them for this. And these are not issues that my children have. It's a problem because they do these things to us and then they tell us to go kill ourselves. It's not concentration camps. They drive us to kill ourselves, right? I know I said this. I'm reiterating the point. The things that they do should not happen. It should not happen. Not in America. Not in a free nation. My ancestors built this country, you know? My ancestors, with George Washington, hand in hand, shoulder by shoulder, they fought for this nation. You know? He didn't sign the Declaration of Independence, but his name is in the letters of Washington, you know? William West. So let's see. We got all these fraudsters running the nation. All these wicked people ruling the nation, completely lawless. Would I give up? No, I will not give up. Will I be silenced? They keep telling me, keep this between us. You know? No, I will not be silenced. Because it's not just about me. If it came before me, it's a problem that I must solve. Why? Because it's the same beast. This monster that I'm facing with this 7 heads, you know, the doctors, the teachers, the politicians, the neighbors, you know, this monster, this 7-headed beast that I'm facing, right? It's just a bigger version of all the monsters that I faced in my childhood. People who hurt me and ruined my reputation. People who made me jump through hoops for their entertainment so that they could ruin my reputation. It's the same beast as when I was a kid. And you know what? While we're talking about this beast, the beast of my childhood, oh man, she really liked to bounce checks. She really liked to defraud people of money. She really liked to get over on people. You guys, you also don't pay your debts. You got a debt to the people of America, particularly the elderly and the disabled, and yet you keep on juggling Social Security like it's something that you have a right to cut. People have paid into their benefits all of their life. And if they haven't, they're not collecting Social Security, disability, or survivor's benefits. Someone who's collecting survivor benefits, it's because they were disabled in childhood and their parents worked all of their life, okay? You wouldn't be on these benefits if you didn't, or if your parents didn't contribute to these benefits. You have a right to them. They don't have a right to take them from you. They don't have a right to ruin your reputation, to pretend like it's Nazi Germany and go in and play this game with these doctors who are supposedly good people. You know, they don't have a right to ruin their reputations by getting them to do these horrible things. And how do they get them to do it? It's the Milgram experiment. They feed them bad information. Or they bribe them the same way they did with my neighbors, you know? It's America. We don't operate like this. It's a free country. It's why our Constitution says, you know, that our Constitution was formed to limit the powers of government, because this is the crap they were doing. The reason why we came out of them, so that we could be free of these kind of tactics. And these are the exact same tactics that we're reduced to now. So will I be quiet? No. Will I be silenced? No. Will I lay down and die? Hell no. Will I run to another country? No. Will I make videos and call you out by name and let you know that you won't get away with it? You won't get away with it. No one that you use will get away with it. Dale, he lives right across the street. Hilda, 2 doors down. Alex and Chris, 2 doors down the other way. Esther, right next door. You know, you're not going to get away with it. You know, Miss Zurich, she just retired from Georgetown. Miss Greenwald, she works at Georgetown. You know, Miss Schaefer, she works at Gombert. You know, Miss Lance, she works at Fisher. You want to go with this? We can go all day long, because I'm not ruining your reputation. I'm saying what you did to me was unjust, and I'm calling you out for it. You don't get to follow me around. You don't get to harass me. You don't get to tell me that my kids suffer from this. You don't get to come and tell me that, oh, I pushed the diagnosis. Oh, no, no, no. We're not playing these crazy making games anymore. No. I'm done with the nonsense. We're done with it. You know? We're going to press forward and we're going to say, this is enough. This is where it stops. This is where it stops, you know? If I have to elevate my response beyond this, you don't want to see what happens next. Okay? Because, yeah, I do have a game plan for it. No, I'm not violent. But you will carry your shame. That I assure you. Every single one of you. From Hilda to Dale and Lori to Esther to Chris and Alex to Miss Greenwald, Miss Zurich, Miss Schaefer, Miss Lance, Miss, what's her name? The speech lady at Fisher, Valley, Miss Valley, all of you. Don't challenge me on what happens next. This nonsense stops. You stop making lies look like truth. You stop lying on me. You just stop all of it. You know, I'm an American citizen. I have rights guaranteed by the Constitution, which was set forth in order to protect us from things like this. And I will not make you bigger than my God or than the law. You know, we will not go on this way. I am not the scammer. They are. You know, let's be clear with that. I am not the scammer. They are. And no, I'm not one of these people. I can't help but wonder. These people that get up and they're like, I'm a sovereign citizen. These people that actually don't know how to defend themselves. Where they give them platform and say, hey, yeah, go ahead. So the rest of Americans can laugh at you. These people fighting when they're not properly armed or trained or educated to fight this battle. But hey, buddy, I support you. And if you really want to take back the country, stand behind me. Because I am actually equipped to handle this battle. I do know my Constitution. I can tell you, you know, which rights you have violated. You know, I can tell you where you broke the law. I can tell you about the Bible, you know. It says when the wicked rule, the judges are blind. You won't find justice in America. I can tell you what the problem is with all this sickness in America. This is your fruit with all the violence, with all the protests. That's rebellion, sweetie. This is your fruit. They don't want to be a part of you, but they don't have the skills to articulate what exactly you have done that they don't want to be a part of. So they just go out there and they tear stuff up. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to stand up here and educate people. We're not going to tear stuff up, but we are going to turn away from things. We are going to give you fences and hedges, We are going to change the nation from the ground up. From the ground up, from the very bottom, from the pit, not even the ground. We're going to address you from the pit, and you're going to move. Why? Because we have God and we have the law on our side, and we're not afraid. So that's all I'm going to say for today. If you only knew the stuff I've been through, the isolation I've been put through, 20 years, 10 years solid here, 10 years nonstop, completely cut off from my family, because they do get in there and they do drive wedges in your relationships. They make up stuff, My son loved me. My son used to bring me Milky Way bars home from school. Me and my son were thick as thieves. They drove wedges in my relationships. My son still comes to me, I still wash his laundry. He moved out. He still comes over. Ma, can you make me some cookies? Ma, can you cook me some food? He still comes around, But we're not as close as we once were. We're closer than that time when he used to walk in the door after school and say, I hate you. And just walk upstairs. They poisoned my kids. They got other kids to bully my kids. They got the teachers to target my kids. These things cannot be allowed. They can't be allowed. They can't be allowed. I was broken long enough. Now I have purpose in my life. Now I finally get what God was telling me all along. I told you, it's not the first time this beast has come up. He's come up in Nazi Germany, but he originated a long, long time ago, They're pulling the same stuff that the Maccabees rose up to take down, Same tactics. And if we can recognize the tactics, if we can recognize these things and understand that this people who give you, a discount on your new car or free home repairs covered by your insurance company, it costs the whole nation in the long run. And if we want to live in a safe country, if we want to live in a better world, then we have to turn away from this nonsense and we have to build better. And that's all I have to say. God bless.